Hi there, I'm Dr. Stephanie Falk, and today I want to talk about how you can approach a loved one that you are really concerned about as it relates to problem drinking. It can be a really tough thing to witness when you have a friend or a family member that's struggling with alcohol, whether it's problem drinking and they're binging and blacking out, or whether they turn to alcohol each and every day to cope or to just simply function. It's a really hard thing to watch. And it can be really difficult to know how you can show up for them and how you can broach a conversation that could potentially be helpful for them in seeking some change and seeking some help. And I think especially with the pandemic that we're all facing right now, it really creates a ripe context for coping that isn't healthy. And so people that have struggled around certain methods of coping that haven't been healthy or useful for them, I'm finding that those are increasing a lot during our current situation. Because I think that a lot of times right now, people's coping just kind of feels tapped out, and it's difficult times. So how can you approach someone when you're concerned? I think the first thing that you want to do is you want to be pretty realistic about your expectations. I think that when you approach someone to suggest that they might have a problem with alcohol, you get often one of two responses. And one is denial. I don't have a problem. And the second one is a lot of aggressiveness and defensiveness and irritability from them. Because maybe there's a piece of them that thinks they might have a problem, but you bringing it up is something that they're not ready to look at or feel blamed or accused around, even if you didn't approach it from that angle. So how do you actually have the conversation? I think that you want to consider whether you want to go it alone or not. Sometimes it can be really important to have another friend or family member with you so that you have kind of a couple of different witnesses in regards to the problem drinking. That can be a really useful thing, as well as that moral support for you and having that very difficult conversation and knowing that there's a chance that it might not go great. So the first thing is you really want to express concern and care. Hey, I really care about you, and I've noticed that you seem to be drinking a little bit more. I don't know if it's something that you're worried about, but I just wanted to ask, is it something that you're concerned about? So approach them in a really level way with curiosity. I think that the things that you want to keep in mind: compassion, care, and curiosity, rather than taking a hierarchical position, rather than telling them, hey, this is your experience with alcohol, I've seen it and you need help. You don't want to approach them from a way that suggests that you know and understand their experience, that you know more than them around it, or that you know what they need, or in a way that blames them. So you want to be very non-judgmental, and that can be a really hard thing to pull off. And so before you have this conversation, I would really process your thoughts and your feelings with someone so that when you go into the conversation, you're not quite as emotional or quite as charged, and you can really maintain an even keel when you have that discussion with them. So if they say, I get that you brought it up, and yeah, I do drink, but it's not a problem, and they're not really open to this idea that they might have a problem or open to help, then I think a really useful comment can be, well, I appreciate you listening to me. I'm glad that, we have a relationship where I can bring this up, and I hope that you'll consider it and just think through, some of my concern. I think that's a really nice way to end a conversation when someone's not open to the idea that they have a problem. And we don't really know. I mean, we can walk away from that conversation and they might consider our words and our thoughts a lot more than we anticipate, especially if we leave it in on good terms, and if we didn't blame them, and if we just kind of leave some questions for them to consider. If they are open to help, if they recognize that they have a problem but they don't know what to do about it, I think that if you've done your homework in advance, it can be incredibly beneficial. So maybe you have done some research about local AA meetings in the area. Maybe you have some numbers and contacts at different treatment facilities, and you can facilitate that process. It's going to be really difficult for them to go from admitting there's a problem to actually making that help available for them. And so if you can help with that practical aspect of it, maybe making some calls alongside them, supporting them in the practical nature of it, going with them to a first appointment maybe, or second appointment or whatnot, I think those are really supportive and useful things. So I hope it's been helpful to listen to this video, and I hope that some of these tips prove useful for you. Again, I just have a lot of compassion around the idea of witnessing someone struggling with alcohol problems. It's a really difficult and overwhelming problem, and it doesn't just impact the person who's drinking, but it impacts the people that care about them as well. I appreciate you tuning in. If you don't want to miss a video, feel free to subscribe, and I hope this finds you having an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you.